Aha, I do believe we're now live. And welcome and thanks for joining us this evening. We're doing something slightly different. I just introduced myself. My name's Les Harrow, one of the brand ambassadors from throughout the UK, and I'm actually based in Harrogate, which is in North Yorkshire. Now, normally, good evening, Simon Campbell-Gurry. Thank you for joining us, and Andrew Park. Pleasure to have you on board, sir. As I was saying, normally these types of events are streamed from the luxurious surroundings of the vaults down at Leith or our other members' rooms in Queen Street in central Edinburgh. But tonight, as I say, you're coming from my kitchen in downtown Harrogate. It doesn't have the comfy sofas of the vaults, but we do have, if you look over my shoulder, we've got a lovely picture there. Some may recognise that as Bowmore from the harbour looking up towards the round church with the distillery just round the corner. So if anybody enjoys Islay drams, there's a little bit of Islay here as well. So the purpose of tonight is really to take you through three of the drams which will be in the April outturn. Now these three drams are actually live now, so they are available to purchase on the website. Good evening, John McShane. Glad to see you're on board as well this evening. So many society colleagues coming on. It feels like my annual appraisal is coming round live this evening in front of the whole wide world. But anyway, yes, the purpose of tonight is to do this tasting in front of you. The first thing I would ask you to do, if you've not already done it, because unless you've purchased any of these bottles and got it delivered already, you're not going to be able to enjoy these drams with me. So please, if you haven't got a dram in front of you, this is an instruction. Please go and get yourself a dram now, come back and join us so you've got something to sit and savour as we go through these wonderful whiskies. Two notes of thanks, first of all, two people to thank for getting this all together. First one is Andrew Park. Really big thanks to Andrew, who gave me a full 24 hours notice that we're going to be doing this evening. As soon as he got the okay from the courier that the bottles had been delivered, he was more or less straight on saying, "Are you all right for 8 o'clock tomorrow night?" So thank you for that, Andrew. Much appreciated. And the other one is Madeline, one of our social media gurus, who sent some instructions through yesterday, because doing this from home and trying to get the technology working and set up, because as you can see, I'm the wrong side of 30, so IT is not perhaps top of my list of skills and attributes. So Maddie sent us some through instructions yesterday, and of course I did have to phone Maddie today to get me to talk me through just how to get the thing set up. So hopefully this will go reasonably well tonight. I've been very fortunate. The three drams, the three bottles that were sent down, absolute stunners. So I have really enjoyed doing this, even though it was at very, very short notice. The April outturn, as I say, is very, very nearly upon us. But these ones are all live on the website to purchase. And now I've tasted them, I'd be quite happy to have any of these in my drinks cabinet. The theme for the April outturn, because this is something that society is doing on a regular basis now, and the theme for April is going to be food, and it's matching whiskies with food. Years ago, nobody would have thought of putting whiskey with food. It was always wine and wine dinners and cheese and wine. Nowadays, we know, if you haven't discovered it yet, whiskey goes extremely well with dark chocolate, particularly a nice sherried whiskey. Makes a great pairing with cheese. But I've been over the years to several whiskey dinners where the chefs have created amazing dishes, either to accompany the whiskey or with the society whiskey somewhere in the dish, in a sauce or whatever. So absolutely fantastic. So I would encourage you to go out and experiment at home with the society whiskies, pairing it with food and having a jolly good time. We're all stuck inside at the moment, more than we wish to, so we've got to amuse ourselves, find new things to do, so try and do a little bit of experimentation with the food. Now, in terms of location tonight for our three whiskies, and I do apologise you can't see the full bottle from head to toe, but as I say, we didn't have a full team getting the setup right, but promise you next time I'm on, I'll be a bit more technically savvy and prepared and have proper stands for my phone. You would not believe this stand that this phone was on. If you could see it, you'd be falling off the end of your seat. Julian Williams, thank you very much, and Sean Lafferty. Julian, I will be mentioning you during the tasting as well, because I think you possibly had a hand in some of the tasting notes, but I'll come to that shortly. So yeah, we're going to be visiting Speyside tonight, which is actually probably my favourite area in the whole of Scotland. Why? Not just because there's so many distilleries there, but I was brought up there in the town of Elgin. Spent most of my youth up there and love the area. And I didn't really appreciate, I was too young to appreciate really the wonders that surrounded me. So delighted to be going back to Speyside tonight, and also with social distancing and not going out. You can only go out once a day for exercise. From Elgin, it would be a long walk, but you could certainly walk to all these 3 distilleries. It might take you more than half an hour to get there, although one of them is very, very close, but you can get your exercise and stay in the area. Again, just before we start, and hopefully you've got your dram in front of you now and enjoying that, 1 or 2 things that, as I say, now we're in this not complete lockdown situation, but we're spending more time at home than we would normally be doing. And it's a chance to experiment and spend a bit more time doing what you enjoy. And one of my passions and enjoyment is drinking whiskey. And I've dedicated at least an hour a day to further my whiskey education and using my time very, very wisely. And of course, part of that is drinking it as well. Now, the Society, if you've not visited it soon, but if you're on social media, good evening, Stephen McConaughey. You're just coming to see what's happening because you're on Sunday, aren't you? Good man. Yeah, so I'm sure if you're on social media, you'll have been on the Society's website of late, which has had a new refreshing look and a lot more information on there. So I'd encourage everybody to just spend the next few weeks when we're at home and brushing up on our whisky understanding and knowledge. Do have a good look through the Society website, because there's some amazing articles and information in there which will help you in your appreciation of whisky. Now, for those members who have been to the tastings, either through the external members tastings, which I do down in this part of the country, or at any of the venues, you'll be familiar with this folder which has all the tasting profiles in there. That is the profiles, the flavour profiles are available on the website, so the Society website. So if you're doing any tastings from home, a good opportunity to download these, and if you're buying any of these bottles to get sent home and savour, you've got all the descriptors there on as well, just to sort of guide you. And another one, which I don't know if I should be showing you this, because I don't know if it's on the new website. It certainly was on previously. The Wonders of Wood, which again gives an indication of where the tasting panel feel the more relevant aromas and flavours come from each individual type of cask. So if that type of thing floats your boat, all the information like that is on the website. And of course the home tasting kits as well are available there. Now, we're not going to have a quiz tonight. Some of the tastings I do, occasionally we'll have a little quiz and a little bit of fun along the way. We're not going to have a quiz tonight, but there's going to be little hints and clues along the way, because I'll be introducing the whisky, which I'm going to start very, very shortly, by the distillery number, the bottle number. And of course we don't put the distillery name on the bottles, but I'm going to give you 1 or 2 clues tonight to see if you can work out where the distillery is and which name it is. And again, some useful information on our website, distillery profiles. If you find that, it gives you a little bit of information about the distillery, so see if you can guess where they come from tonight. So I'm going to start with the first one, which is Youthful Exuberance. I hope you can see that. Lovely name. It's from our Young and Sprightly flavour profile. It's Cask 5560, 7-year-old, distilled on the 5th of March 2012, and it's from a first fill ex-bourbon barrel, and it's a very, very easy drinking, 64.3% strength. Now, one of the things that keeps amazing me, and it amazes some of our members, sorry I put the bottle that way, and maybe it's better that way so you don't have to look at me, but some of the members, when we're doing the tastings, excuse me, we introduce a bottle and we say, this is the strength of it. You can see the look of horror in their eyes, particularly for a guest that have been brought along by a member not used to drinking cask strength whiskey, and they think this is really going to blow their head off. But actually, because of the fantastic wood in the cask the barrel has been in, 64.3%, bit worrying for me that I can drink this quite easily, or sip it quite easily. But they're not rough and ready. These are really, really nice sippable drams, even at that strength. So, and also I mentioned that the date in this one, the date it was distilled, the 5th of March 2012, because I do know some members who really take a keen interest in the dates, and we've sold bottles at tasting. Somebody's come along and said, I want to buy that bottle because it's the same anniversary date of my son's when he was born. I'm going to keep that bottle, open it when he's 18, or it's an anniversary or something like that. So just out of interest, as I say, the 5th of March 2012 Speyside. Now, the tasting notes, which are all available on the website just now, because as I say, the bottles are live there. This one, young and sprightly, Youthful Exuberance. These flavour profile normally from our younger whiskies, and the name Youthful Exuberance more or less sums this one up. Quite a young whisky, but mature for its years. Very, very nice character to this one. Very light, sprightly, exuberance without a doubt, but a lovely pale colour to this as well. And on the nose, the thing that was coming through to me all the time, and I try always initially to sample the whisky myself before looking at the tasting notes, so I'm not influenced. And the tasting notes does make reference to lemon drizzle cake, which I absolutely love. Lime marmalade and vanilla custard slice, so again the theme with the food in there. But without a doubt, the one aroma that comes through all the time with this one is the lemon. It just never leaves it. This one, if you do purchase a bottle to try at home, a word of caution, because this has got quite a bit of exuberance on the nose. So be very, very cautious, because the first time I put my nose in the glass with this one, it almost lifted the roof off. Quite powerful. So just little sniffs there. I've left this to breathe a little while just to let the pure alcohol evaporate out of there, so I can get some of the wonderful aromas out of this. But the lemon is the one that's coming through more than anything. And it also mentions waxed wood. Well, I couldn't get the wood, but I certainly got the wax as well in this one. But lovely, lovely nose in this one. I'm going to add a little bit of water now. For some of us older folks, you may recognise this water jug, not available anymore, so it's now probably priceless, but a lovely society water jug. Another little tip with these ones, if you do get yourself a bottle of these, despite the strength of these, because again, sometimes what you read and your brain tells you one thing, and you think, wow, 64.3, I'm going to have to put a decent dash of water in this. I nosed it, tasted it, put a little bit of water in, and it was actually too much water. So just a few drops of water in this one. But again, the lemon, the water just brings out the lemon in this one. It's just lemon all the way through this one. Absolutely lovely. Now again, the tasting notes talk about, ginger, dry oak, curry leaf. The reduced nose combined Oreos. And again, I'm not at the age group that I eat a lot of Oreos, so I'd need to ask my grandson in that one to see if that's accurate. But the palate balanced rum and raisin ice cream and demerara sweetness, which I definitely got in there, with the tingle of wintergreen. Now, when I saw the wintergreen on it, this reminded me of my days many years ago when I was able to run about and play football, and I was a left winger, and we used to get the wintergreen rubbed on us by the physio on our legs before we went out to play, just loosened the muscles up so you didn't pull a muscle very early in the game. And if you put too much on you, the fullback wouldn't possibly come near you for the first 15-20 minutes of the game because you're absolutely stinking. But I'm glad to say you're not getting that particular aroma out of the whisky. It's very nice indeed. The other thing about this one is when I went back and sampled it a second time, I have to on your behalf obviously, I left it about 15-20 minutes after it nosed it, tasted it, compared my notes to the first time, and then just put it to one side. And with all three whiskies tonight, I did discover that giving it a good bit of time really enhanced the experience, and you start to get more out of this. Now, I noticed earlier that Julian had logged in and was watching, and as soon as I saw this comments on the tasting notes, I thought Julian must have been on the tasting panel this night. Because it says the reduced nose, as I said, it combines Oreos and fudge with pipe tobacco, polished leather, and drying woolly socks. Now, I know Julian does like to go for a tramp up the hills and the mountains and bags a few Monroes, so I don't know if you're the expert on drying woolly socks, Julian, and come up with that comment, but the next time I'm out for a walk, I'll make sure my socks get very wet, come back and dry them, and compare them to the aromas out of this glass, and we'll see if that stacks up. But a really nice whisky for 7-year-old. It's really beyond its years, and a lot of character in it. It's still got that Youthful Exuberance, which is a fantastic name for this one. It's still quite lively, but at 64.3%, as I say, for me personally, it just needs two or three drops of water, and that's absolutely sufficient to make it a lovely, just beautiful sipping dram. Excuse me. Lovely. Now you'll notice I did wash my hands before we started tonight, and I have got my hand sanitizer with me, and you'll be pleased to know that this hand sanitizer is from Distillery 33, new make spirit. It works absolutely wonderful. Can't get the real stuff in the chemist or the supermarket, so needs must. So Distillery 33, thank you for some hand sanitizer. I've also got some water here just to cleanse my palate between drams. Now, a little bit about the distillery, 55.60. As I mentioned, it was the Speyside distillery. It actually sits, depending on which publication you read, it's sometimes designated Speyside, sometimes designated Highland, because it sits right on the borderline between the two areas. But we've classified it as a Speyside. And to give you a little bit of hints as to where this might come from, this distillery, and you'll see that it's only the 60th cask we've bottled from Distillery 55, so it's one that doesn't come around very frequently. So if you haven't sampled anything from this distillery, now's your chance to get your hands in a bottle, keenly priced at only £48 as well. But the first of the clues, this was the very first distillery to receive a royal warrant in 1835 by King William IV, and it became known as the King's Whisky. Got that yet? No? Another clue then for you. It's located on the land of Cawdor Estate, which was made legendary by Shakespeare in his work of Macbeth, and it's close to the town of Nairn. And the third clue, Andrew Usher, which those of you who are whisky historian buffs will know that he was responsible for the first commercial blended whisky. At that time he was also an agent for this particular distillery, so we can almost be guaranteed that the spirit from this distillery went into the very first commercial blend. So as I say, head on to the Society website if you need to get any more clues as to where this distillery is or what it is. But it's classified as Speyside, but a really nice starter dram for the evening. And as I say, one which I would be more than happy to have in my whisky cabinet. In fact, it will be in my whisky cabinet after tonight. My wife tasted it last night and she gave the thumbs up as well, so that's all the approval we need. So, dram number 2. Now, where are we going with this one? So, it's Cask 1.224, and most of you will now already know. I'll still give a few clues at the end as to which distillery this may be. But it's got Sunglasses, the wonderful name of Sunglasses Not Included. And it's an 8-year-old whisky, distilled on the 6th of April 2011. Again, it's a first full ex-bourbon barrel, and at a strength of 58.7% alcohol by volume. Now, all the 3 whiskies tonight, as well as all coming from Speyside, have all been matured in first full ex-bourbon barrels. And before anybody says, well, why don't we have something else? It's all the same types of casks. Incredible, because obviously each distillery has its own style of new make spirit, goes in and depends where that bourbon barrel came from. In the US will impart its own characteristics, but 3 from the same type of cask, but 3 completely different whiskies indeed. Now this one is from the flavour profile of spicy and sweet. The other thing I didn't mention, which I found interesting, last year at some of our members' events in Yorkshire and Lancashire, we did had a little bit of fun, some of the tastings, and we did the first half of the evening on a blind tasting. So we didn't hand out the tasting notes as we normally do, and we asked people to use their skill with the folders and the descriptions of the aromas and flavour profiles to try and categorise each of the 3 whiskies they were sampling and pick their flavour profile. And you would think that would be quite easy, and it was extremely challenging, but everybody found it a great deal of fun. I even personally put up a prize of a 2-week cruise to the Caribbean if anybody got all 3 correct. Thankfully, nobody managed to do that, but it proved to people how difficult it is to categorise these whiskies. And as I said, the tasting panel have done a fantastic job of putting them into these the flavour profiles, which certainly add up once you nose and taste them. But the one thing I tried to do when I was analysing the first time, and each time I did it, there was little traits coming out, and this one, spicy and sweet, but there's certain aspects of it was leading to deep, rich and dried fruit as well. So as I say, as we've got a bit more time in our hands at home these days, download the flavour profiles from the website, get your spouse, girlfriend, partner, whoever, to pour you 2 or 3 society whiskies, blind, so you don't know what you're drinking, and just see if you can pick out the flavour profiles of them. It just passes a lazy afternoon. That's if you're not working from home, of course, or maybe if you are working from home, depending on what kind of job you've got. So yes, so we're now on, as I say, the Cask 1.224, 58.7%, spicy and sweet. And it starts off, the name is fantastic, Sunglasses Not Included, and I'm assuming this comes from the first line of the tasting notes, which says, aromas burst from the glass like bright rays of morning sunshine. So I'm assuming that's where the sunglasses. Thankfully, down in Harrogate and most of England this week, we've had fantastic weather, been clear blue skies and plenty of sunshine. For those of you north of the border, I believe it's been a bit more cloudy than that, so perhaps you didn't need your sunglasses this week. But this is a lovely whisky. And something which is rather unusual about this one, and again is one of the benefits of belonging to the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, as this distillery is well known and highly regarded for its style of whisky, which is predominantly sherry style, and they are absolutely fantastic. But this one is from the first full ex-bourbon barrel. So again, it's something quite unique, and an opportunity to try spirit from this distillery out of its normal guise in sherry, but beautiful dram anyway. Now on the nose, the one thing that I got, and some of the descriptions you'll get in the tasting notes are from people like myself, and you think, well, I don't get that. And sometimes I look at the tasting notes and thinking, I don't know about that, because if you've never smelt or tasted that particular explanation, then you're unlikely to recognise it. But this one, the thing I got straight away, which reminded me of Marsala, which is a fortified wine from Sicily, and there's been a few whiskies recently been finished in Marsala casks, which creates a lovely, lovely whisky indeed. And this is what I got from the nose. It just reminded me of the Marsala straight away. On the palate, we're back into the food category. Now I know we're not the BBC because they can't, I would say, advertise, and this isn't an advertisement and this company is not paying me. But if anybody knows the company called Borders Biscuits, they have a wonderful biscuit, chocolate ginger biscuit, which is absolutely ace. And as soon as I tasted this neat, it took me back to these Border Biscuits chocolate ginger, and I'm sure there's other biscuit manufacturers out there who will manufacture chocolate and ginger biscuits as well. So next time you're out to the shops, and remember, don't go every day, stay safe and stay inside whenever you can, but next time you go to the shops, if you're stocking up in some food, have a look out for some Borders biscuits, and if you can get them, the chocolate ginger biscuit, it goes absolutely incredibly well with this sunglasses not included, the 1.224. I'm just going to add a little bit of water, again from my wonderful Scotch Malt Whisky Society water jug. And I'll accept any bids now. If you want to start bidding, it'll go to the highest bidder. Yes, thank you, Stephen. Use Hague Club for hand sanitizer. I'm actually using it to unblock the toilets at the moment. Hope there's nobody from that company tuning in tonight. I was only joking. It's very, very nice indeed. But anyway, back to the job in hand. So when you add a little bit of water, I really found this heightened the whole sense of smell with this whiskey. Just 2 or 3 drops of water. Aroma's really beautiful now. The spices coming through. That spiciness in the palate is absolutely fantastic. And what it reminded me of a little bit, and I was led a little bit by the tasting notes here, that it said a light dusting of cocoa powder mingled with coffee grounds and green tea, whilst the spicy tingles of cinnamon and cloves lasted well into the finish, etc., etc. And it was a little bit about the cocoa powder, the light dusting. I thought, yeah, this reminds me of when you get a cappuccino with a nice sprinkling of chocolate on the top of the cappuccino, and when you're drinking your coffee, you're just getting that chocolate bits which usually stay on your lips and you can never get off for ages, and you go back out into the high street and people are looking at you because you've got all this chocolate around your lips. But it reminded me of just that little taste when you get the chocolate off the top of your cappuccino. But this is an absolutely wonderful, wonderful dram. Excuse me, I'm just going to help myself a bit more. The finish in this is absolutely tremendous, really nice. It's a very, very long, spicy finish, and it just gives you a little bit of tingle on the tip of your tongue. Absolutely beautiful whiskey, very, very nice indeed. Now I'm going to be conscious of my time because I'm going to go way over the time here. So 1 or 2 little hints as to which this distillery is, if you haven't already worked out. I'm sure most of you have. It's located in the area of Ballindalloch in Speyside, just off the A95, 5 miles south of Aberlour. Of course, it was the distillery that started it all for the society. And this isn't really a clue because nobody will know, but a whiskey from this distillery was the first whiskey that my wife and I ever shared together. So a bit of romance in there with that one. So I'm going to move on to whiskey number 3, and I'll just cleanse my palate a little bit. And I said to Andrew Park, you want me to talk for 20-30 minutes? That's impossible with 3 drams, and here we go. So I'm going to tramp on now. So dram number 3, Again, we've got the same flavour profile, spicy and sweet, but a completely different experience, trust me. Absolutely wonderful, and this definitely would make a fantastic addition to any whisky cabinet. So it's distillery 39.193. It's Forthright without being impertinent. It's one of 208 bottles. And by the way, folks, I did look on the website today, and there isn't a great deal of these bottles left. So if any of the descriptions tonight are tickling your fancy, don't hang about. I would recommend you jump on the website and get a bottle as quickly as you can. This one's 11-year-old. Again, first full ex-bourbon barrel, 62.3% ABV this time, and distilled on the 14th of May 2008. Now this is one from one of my favourite distilleries. And people, I'm sure you all get frequently asked, what's your favourite whisky? And my answer is, other than whichever one I have in my hand at the time, is usually I don't have a favourite whisky, but I have a portfolio of favourite distilleries, which when I get something from that distillery, I'm very rarely disappointed, and this falls into this bracket. The nose in this one is really, really enticing and draws you in. And I haven't got time tonight, but this is one of these whiskies where I'd be quite happy just sitting nosing for 5 or 10 minutes. And as I say, it's enticing, it's drawn me in, beautiful spiciness in here. The tasting notes themselves, put together by the panel, it says aromas delivered in a huge waft of cologne perfume, carnations, nasturtiums before arriving at candied kiwis, dry banana and pineapple. So that's giving you an idea of what's in there. But really is a beautiful nose. Now this, same flavour profile, but this is more intense than the previous one. Everyone's beautiful in its own way. Feels much more concentrated, this one. Hint of orange in there somewhere as well, so we're getting the food in there. And quite a thick texture in the mouth. And again, you probably won't be able to see it. But the legs in this one were incredible. They just form a little ridge around there and they take ages to come down. Really, really nice. So I'm going to add a little bit of water to this one from my society. Then there's the picture on the other side. As I say, I'm still waiting on bids coming in. If not, I'll be going on Whisky Auctioneer next month. 2 or 3 drops of water, that's all it needs, even at that strength. Bob Wenting's asking which one is whisky number 3. It's the one nearest to me, it's a 39.193, Bob. Hope you got that. Oh, even more floral, more fruity now. It's just absolutely beautiful. Can I sign off now and just finish this without saying any more? It's wonderful, wonderful. A really well constructed and balanced dram. The other thing, which again, as I mentioned earlier, when I've tried these whiskies, excuse me, for the second time, as I normally do, I'll go away and leave it alone for 20-30 minutes, go back, revisit it. And the tasting notes talked about acacia, honey and caramel merged with orange oils. The caramel for me took a long time to come out, but after that 20-30 minutes, when I went back, picked up the glass again, as soon as I put my nose in it, I was getting that caramel and on the palate as well. But lovely texture, really for me, well constructed, a very, very good balanced whisky, an absolute delight. So this distillery is located in my boyhood town of Elgin, so that narrows it down a little bit. It's highly regarded by blenders, this one still is, because just such a consistently good dram. Now another little clue, which is a bit like the clue for the last one about my wife and I sharing this one as our first dram, this will give you no indication at all, or unless you're really, really smart. Because when I lived in Elgin, my very first job was I got a job as a paper boy, but it was only opening for a paper round on a Saturday. So the round I got took me down to the east end of Elgin, to a large housing estate down there, and the housing estate actually carries the same name as the distillery. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, probably not at all, but that's a picture of the distillery, and you'll see at the top, that's the housing estate there. Nowadays, if you were to drive up to that distillery, it has no visitor centre, unfortunately. Now if you were to drive up to that distillery, the houses are virtually right on the doorstep. Shows you how long ago I left Elgin, doesn't it? But that was my first paper round, was down at the estate, the housing estate, which carries the same name as this distillery in the east end of Elgin. I then got promoted and I got a full week's paper round, and I was moved to the west end of Elgin, and surprise, surprise, that paper round took me straight up to a distillery at the other end of Elgin, which is a favourite of many of the ambassadors, Distillery 35. But I'm not biased just because I come from Elgin and I love this distillery. The casks that we've had from this distillery and bottled from the society have been absolutely fantastic. But another little clue, if you haven't got it yet, there was a gentleman who became a distillery manager there between 1946 and 1963 called Roderick Mackenzie. And he came from the Western Isles, and he was very superstitious. And he wouldn't allow any maintenance to be carried out unless it was absolutely critical, because he was frightened it would change the character of the spirit. And the story goes that he even banned the removal of a spider's web from one of the stills in case that changed the character of the spirit. So I'm glad he didn't, because what comes out of this distillery is absolutely fantastic. So, looking at the time, I've run over time. I hope you've stayed with me. Just to confirm that all these bottles are on the website now. Not many left, so if you've liked the sound of them tonight, pop on there and buy them. You can also phone up the team Monday to Friday. Unfortunately, they're only open there, and again, everyone's working remotely from home. So assuming the technology works and the phones get redirected, you should be able to pick up a bottle on the phone, but the easiest way is always to go online, as well as these 3 bottles, of course, if these are not your preferred flavour profiles. There is many other superb bottles on the website for you to purchase. So just like to thank everyone for coming in and tuning in tonight and watching me. And as I say, I hope you did it with a dram in your hand. Tomorrow night, the society, we can't come to you at the moment. I'm really missing going out to the members' events. I should have been in Sheffield on Thursday night and a private members' event in Liverpool tonight. We will get to you, ladies and gentlemen, in due course, but this wonderful Scotch Malt Whisky Society doing their best for their members in these troubled times and coming directly streaming into your home. Maybe doing something again next month. Perhaps Andrew will give me more than 24 hours notice the next time. So thanks for watching. Tomorrow night we have, if you haven't heard him, Robin Lang, fantastic musician, whiskey bard. He's performing on the Facebook page tomorrow night. And on Sunday, Stephen McConaughey, my colleague from Aberdeen, who's been giving me a hard time online tonight with some of his comments. Stephen, I'll be looking forward to tuning in to see you on Sunday, where you'll be introducing some more drams from the April out term. So stay tuned in, explore the website. Remember to go online and browse the bottles, what treats are available for you. I'm looking forward to seeing all our lovely members in due course once this horrible period has passed for us, and sharing a dram in person. But until then, again, thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks for your interest in the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. Slán Díobhá and good evening. Thank you.